Alright, hello. Today we are going to be learning about segments and circles. So we are going to be starting off with a review. So the first word that we are going to be reviewing is a tangent. If you remember, a tangent is a line that intersects a circle in exactly one point, and it's called the point of tangency. Okay. The second word is a chord. A chord is a segment whose endpoints are points on the circle. Okay. And the last one is a secant line, and that is a line that intersects a circle in 2 points.
If two chords intersect in the interior of a circle, then the product of the lengths of the segments of one chord is equal to the product of the lengths of the segments in the other chord. So here is the first example. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. Okay, and there is a formula for that, and that is part times part equals part times part. So in this diagram, it would be A times C equals B times D, showing that the segments are equal. Okay, and then, Polly, do you want to read that one?
Yeah, I'll read it. Alright, so the second one that we are going to be doing is this one that she's drawing right now. And if two secant segments share the same endpoint outside a circle, then the product of the length of one secant segment and the length of its external segment equals the product of the length of the other secant segment and the length of its external segment. So, okay.
So the formula for that is outside times whole equals outside times whole. So B times the product, well, the sum of A and B equals C times the product of C and D for both. And then the last one, well, it's basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the one that she's going to draw now is very similar, just another way of showing it. So A is the whole segment.
And what I said before about external secant segments and a tangent segment, right here, A would be the tangent segment, and the external segment would be this line right over here. Alright, so now we are going to be doing some examples. So for these 3 examples, we already have them written out for you, and the work will be done in a different color. So for the first example, the formula we are going to be using is A times C equals B times D. So in this formula, X would be A, 15 would be C, and then B would be 10, and then D would be 18. So it would be X times 15 equals 10 times 18. So when we solve this, it would be 15x equals 180. Then we would divide both sides by 15 because we want to get x alone. And x would equal 12.
Okay, so for the second example, we're going to use the second formula we did, which is B times the sum of A and B equals C times the sum of C and D. Okay, so the numbers we have in this one are 10, 6, 8, and X. So B would be 6, so it would be 6 times the sum of 6 and 10 equals 8, which would be C times the sum of 8 plus X. Because 8, as you can see, 8 is on the outside, so it's 6. So then we would solve this, so you would get 36 plus 60. Should be writing the problem.
Wait, don't forget that you have to tell them that we are going to be distributing.
Oh, right. Okay, so we're going to be distributing, so 36 plus 60, she's showing there, equals 64 plus 8x. So from here, 36 plus 60 is 96 equals 64, rewriting it, plus 8x. So then from each side we would subtract 64. So on the left side we would have 32 equals 8x. Then we would divide both sides by 8. And we would get the answer to be x equals 4.
Alright, and so now for example 3, we're going to be using the formula a times a equals b times b plus c. So it's pretty much the same as example 2 like we explained earlier, but except we don't have that second number. So, alright. Now, the reason why we have x squared is because in the formula it's a times a, and we already solved for that. So, like, the original would be x times x. So, okay, it's x squared equals 4 times 4 plus 5. And then we distribute that 4 and we get x squared equals 16 plus 20. Then we solve for 16 and 20 and we get 36. And then to get rid of that squared, we are going to find the square root. So the square root of 36 would be 6. So now we are on example 5, and the numbers that we have are x, 24, 12, and 17. So we're going to be using the formula a times c equals b times d. Alright, so, okay, it would be x times 24 equals 17 times 12. And then we would simplify that to 24x equals 204. Then we would divide both sides by 24. And we would end with x equal 8.5.
So there's an example of what we just learned on the mock exam. It's number 38. And the formula you would use for this is outside times whole equals outside times whole. So what you would do is 4 times 4 plus 6 equals 5 times the quantity of 5 plus 6. So you distribute, so you'll get 16 plus 24 equals 25 plus 5x. So you'd start by solving over here. You would get 40 equals 25 plus 5x minus the 25. And then you get 15 equals 5x. Divide each side by 15, x equals 3, which is letter A on the mock exam.